Hey everyone, good afternoon. It's Cindy Daychek coming at you from Queen Bee Creations. And I wanted to bring you on here very quickly to give you an update on what's been happening with this big tall boy dresser. I kind of promised I'd be here yesterday, missed that target. But having recovered from my Valentine's out, I wanted to bring you on as I carried on with some of the gold leafing. Now, this is a little bit of a different effect that we're doing with the gold leaf. Usually because you see the solid leaves attached on, and you've got strong and bold kind of gold areas on the cabinet. And I wanted something a little bit different. I wanted a little bit more of a crackle look. So if you've seen furniture where it's got the crackles on the top and you see an undercolor coming through, I wanted a little bit of that effect. I wanted to use the gold in a way that it would look almost like that. So what I am doing is I am using kind of a crackle texture, kind of a stamp pattern. And you can see that it's pretty flexible, which kind of allows me to come up and around some of the corners. What's nice is I'm not looking for this to look perfect, so thank God for that, because a lot of the detail and the raised areas on this cabinet would make that awkward. And I've got you kind of zoomed in here so that you can see as I apply some of the gold leafing more than anything else. Now, I will say, oh my goodness, of course, I had the basic sheet out here to be able to show you what the crackle effect looks like. And the dog was sleeping on top of it. But you can see kind of that tight crackle look. And that's what we're going after on this one. Now for this, I'm using a stamp. I could have chosen to just simply add on some gold paint on this and then stamped the paint on, but it would have given a slightly different look. It wouldn't have been as intense a gold. The gold leaf, I can as well sort of burnish back a little bit. It looks a little bit richer than just the gold paint, and I think it's kind of a cool effect. I practiced on the side, so I cheated a little bit. I practiced on the side, but this is where we're going. So I need the stamp of some kind. You could hand paint on, you could just take a paintbrush and smear. What we're going to be doing is we're adding what's called sizing. So I happen to have this, I'm just shaking it up a little bit here. I happen to have the sizing, so that's what I'm using, but you could use any kind of decoupage medium of your choice. You could take, you know, the old school glue, the white school glue that you like to, when we were kids, put all over our fingers and then peel it off. You could use that glue and just water it down slightly. It's going to be too thick coming out, so you just water it down slightly so you get it so it's fairly liquid, which means that we can apply it onto our stencil. I have got a package of gold leaf. And if you haven't used gold leafing before, I've got a couple of pieces that are just little. I'm going to put those off to the side. But it is very thin. Let me grab. It is very thin. It is very, very wavy. And my one word of warning is this sticks to anything. Meaning you get some of the sizing on your fingers, you sweat a lot in your fingers. I mean, it will stick to anything. So there's a couple of tricks to trying to apply it so that you'll get it stuck on your piece and not on your fingers. But as well, when we go to brush it away, you are going to get little pieces of the gold leaf falling all over the place. So one of the things that I do to kind of keep control of that a little bit is I do have my little handheld vac off to the side, and with that then I'm going to be periodically vacuuming. I'm not going to do that on the live because it'd be way too loud for you in your ears, but it just kind of keeps it a little bit controlled, and especially since my dog likes to walk through whatever I'm doing, which white paw prints in paint across my dark hardwood floor will attest to. So all I'm going to do is pour some sizing out onto this pie plate, and to apply it onto my, all right, so I got some out of my pie plate. To apply it to the surface of my stamp pad here, I'm just going to use what's called a brayer. Now you could just use a paintbrush. I happen to have the brayer, which is just like a little fine roller, just because I want it going across the top of this more than I want it sitting down into the little creases. But, you know, go with what you've got on hand. You could just take a damp sponge and wipe it and just kind of wipe it across, because we're not looking for perfectly even coverage. We're just looking to have it kind of in rough patterns and going up and around curves and things. It'll be okay. So all I'm doing is rolling my brayer into the medium, and you can kind of see it rolling around there, so you can see it's pretty liquid. So I'm just going to get some onto my brayer here, and I am going to pick a spot here, and I'm going to roll it on. And I'm trying to think in terms of where on my stamp it's going. So I'm going to aim for this corner here, and I'm in and out of the frame, but you don't need to see me as much as you want to see the technique and what we're doing. So I'm rolling some of the sizing just with my brayer onto that textured mat. I'm going to lift it up, and I'm just going to kind of roughly press it into a bunch of my grooves. And you can see this is not pretty. This is not getting it perfect and exact, which I think if I did it in paint would be an issue. I would get smearing of the paint, which would create a bit of an awkward look for me. When you're lifting up some of your gold leaf, because these babies, I mean, if you want to sneeze away. Sneeze away from this. They are very flimsy. So one of the easiest things to do is there is always a divider sheet between each of those gold leaf sheets. If you lift it using that sheet and then use that sheet to apply it, you're going to take that and with that sheet kind of smear it down into the creases. Now you can see this piece is hanging off the side because there was no glue over there, right? We didn't have any of that side, and you can see already I'm stuck to my gold leaf. Okay, but I can take some of my smaller pieces to some of those shiny areas where I know some of that sizing is still exposed and not covered. And then I'm going to want another big sheet to kind of stick up, coming up into these grooves and these creases and across the top where I have some more of that sizing. Okay, now it does not look pretty at this stage. I get that, but also here's what happens. So you can just use this to burnish some of that leaf down in. Make sure it's sticking. I also like to take, if I could find it. Okay, I also like to take just a brush and just kind of lightly kind of burnish it down in a little bit more. Okay, now for some projects, this is almost done. This is what the gold leafing would look like, where you have the leaf in many of the spots. You would just continue to burnish it to get a little bit of the excess off, but you're looking for some of that you know, the solid kind of coverage with that. And I've done that on many pieces. There's nothing wrong with that look. but it was a little bit more of a contrast and a little bit harsher than what I was looking for with this particular project. So what we've done with adding that sizing in kind of those crackle spots is that as much as this looks like it's adhered all over, it actually isn't. Okay, we've got some of the sizing, and I need to put glasses on to be able to see. So I see, hi Kathy, hi Lisa. It's not stuck in all these spots because there isn't the sizing in all of it. It's going to follow all the little cracks and the grooves. So we need this to set up a little bit, just dry off a little bit more. So you can see even like up here, there's spots where it just wants to peel away because I didn't have any sizing there. It's not an all over paint. Otherwise I could just simply have taken my sizing and applied it with a brush. I wanted to have that smooth kind of gold leaf finish. With this, what I want to do is, now that it's kind of almost dry, yeah, it's not tacky anymore, is I want to take just one of my bigger stencil brushes. Okay, so stencil brushes are fairly stiff. They're not made for painting this way. They're made for pouncing. And I'm going to look to remove all of the gold leaf. So hence the need for, I need to move my stamp from under it because it's kind of damp from some of the sizing, and I will end up with all of it, all of these little bits and pieces stuck onto it. Okay, so all I'm going to do, and why I have you kind of zoomed in, is that you can see I'm going to start rubbing fairly hard, right? And kind of in a circular motion to be able to pull away all of the gold leaf that's sitting just on the surface of the piece in between all of those little lines that were on my stamp. So you get more of this crackle kind of look and finish. And you can see already, see the contrast, see how softened this ends up looking as opposed to just a solid gold leaf. Again, a great look depending upon what you're after. For this, I wanted it to be a little bit more subtle. I wanted it to be a little bit more aged. I wanted to have that crackle look, a little bit like, have you ever seen with some of the Asian pots where, I can't remember what it's called, I want to say Kazuki, and I'm probably just making that name up. But there's a technique where they take a broken pot and they glue the pieces back in using gold, so that in their mind, something broken has become even more beautiful as it's been mended. It's kind of almost that kind of reminiscent of that look as to what I'm after here. And I liked the thought of this in my head, and I'm sure people have done this. I just haven't happened to see it. But I wanted that gold leaf effect and some of that look, but I didn't want to have that solid, harsh kind of look. So you can see how this is.
Lisa Marie says kintsugi.
So it's kind of close, but good. You knew what I was talking about. Yeah, I just couldn't remember for sure. But it's kind of that idea, right? Where we just have a little bit of the gold coming through, and you can see how this has kind of softened it. And so that's one of the reasons why when we were painting this, I wanted that black around the outside edges so that it stood out a little bit more.
Helen Patterson's a friend of mine. She's watching. Say hello for me.
Ah, okay, Helen. Nick's saying hi. He's reading some of the comments for me because I haven't mastered the art of being able to actually see up on the camera so well as I'm busy working on this. So he's helping read out, and so he's saying hi, Helen. But you can see kind of the impact of this look. You're not going to want to do it everywhere, so I'm not covering the entire piece. I'm doing it more kind of on some of the edging, some of the corners. I'll do it a little bit more in some areas, a little bit less in others, but I'm really kind of loving how it's turning out. So with this, let's let's see about just turning you guys up a little bit more. I'll go onto my knees and let's do another spot together before I then kind of let you go on with your day, and I'll carry on. So I'm just coating my brayer again, and you have to think a little bit strategically on your stencil here, on your stamp, because I'm using it in different ways, and I have to be thinking about when I turn it up, where is that medium actually going to go on my piece more than anything else. So we're just kind of coating it in some areas, pushing it on, trying not to move it too much and smear it around, because I can always add more on afterward if I feel inclined to. I need to let it set up just a minute or two to be able to dry off a little bit, okay? And then take my gold leaf sheet and press it into the area.
Derek Carlton is watching.
Ah, Derek. This is a good friend also. Okay. And so we're just pressing it in. All right? I can pull off some of those loose edges, and you will up close be able to see where there's still a little bit of that sizing or that glue hanging out on the piece. So you can start to attach some of these pieces in some of those areas so that you're not getting as many wispy pieces just getting brushed off and floating around your home than anything else. So one of the things that I will have to do is, before I start working on these lower pieces down here at the bottom, I will have to take my vacuum, because there's all kinds of little pieces down there, and if I start to try and stick some sizing onto them, then they're all going to start sticking to my stencil and any brushes and onto me and onto the piece. I'll just end up brushing them onto the piece rather than getting the look that I want, and they'll go clumpy. So I need to get them away from the base of the piece before I start going. So take a couple of those bigger pieces off and put them off to the side, right? Take my dry brush and just kind of burnish it in a little bit more, right? You can already see some of the pieces that aren't adhered just flying away. Yeah, yesterday I'd done the sample section and kind of cleaned everything up and saw that it was the look that I wanted, and got changed and dressed to go out to dinner. And I'm sitting at dinner, my husband's looking at me across the table going, you're glittering, you have gold. So it was kind of like I was one of those Twilight vampires where my skin was all glittering because I had tiny little gold pieces decorating me. And you know, I guess it's a look. It could be like a makeup look. I'm creating my own little look. Usually I'm walking around with paint in my hair and paint on my clothes, and I was at a celebration of life, and people are going, you got paint in your hair, and I'm going, I know, it's a constant, and there's not much I can do about it. It's like, it just gets in there and lasts a couple of washings. It's just the way it goes, right? So you can see that once this is dried and the gold has adhered to it, you're not having to be that delicate with the gold anymore, right? Once it's on your piece, you're able to kind of manhandle it. You can take a fine sanding pad to it to be able to soften the look a little bit if you wanted. Here, I just really am able to burnish. With this kind of pattern, with the crackle pattern, I just know that if I have a big solid area of gold, that I know that not all that gold has adhered, right? And then just brush away some of those little decorative gold flecks that are going to be decorating you and your home. So hopefully you have an area that is not your living room that you're able to do this in. So this is all that I'm going to be doing to this piece is strategically in some areas. I still have the whole front of this, the top, and the far side to do. And I've already cleaned up the hardware, so it was already kind of a gold color. We're keeping that. It fits the piece and it's the right color, it's the right shade, so I didn't have to change that out, just clean it up a little bit. So once this has all been done with the gold, all that's left to do is to seal it. And you have a couple of choices. You can use the sealer of your choice, either poly, which for me would be a water-based poly of some kind, of some sort, whichever one is your preference. Or I'm going to be using a clear wax, which on a piece like this, because it's not in a super high traffic area, wax is going to be more than hard enough to be able to seal this up. It's definitely going to seal over and protect the gold as well. So I've got a little bit of the waxing and the buffing afterward, but I will be posting finished pictures of this once that waxing and that buffing has been done. So you'll be able to see it all completed with the gold in all of its various random locations and see what you think. So keep an eye out for the finished pic. I would love to hear what you think of it. Right now, I think my biggest challenge, because I'm loving this look so much, is to not overdo it, right? I love the reveal part, that when I'm scrubbing it back with a stencil brush and revealing all the little lines and the cracks, and I'm thinking, oh gosh, it actually worked as I wanted it to, which is exciting for me, is to not overdo it and to not have too much gold all over, but still remembering to be strategic. So if you haven't tried gold leaf, hopefully this gives you an idea of really how easy it is. No big special tools. I mean, you can get white craft glue from your local dollar store, and I love my local dollar store. And you can get the gold leaf in 100 sheet packs for, here in Canada for under $10 from Amazon, no problem. So it's very accessible, very easy to be able to get. Michael's has them as well, so if you wanted to go to your local craft store and be able to pick it up, but they are cheaper on Amazon. You can get more for the same amount of money. But if you didn't want to have to wait for delivery and you had a Michael's just around the corner, then feel free to pop by there and to be able to pick up what you need. But you can see, I mean, already it gave you an idea of what just the gold leafing is going to look like, and definitely follow the trick of not picking up the leaf in your bare hands. Use the sheet. You can use it for burnishing it down in. That's going to make your life a lot easier. But apart from that, keep in mind that you can use stamps of any kind. So, already my head is thinking about all of the scroll stamps that I have and some of the floral stamps. How awesome would it be to have all kinds of different vines and flowers in just that gold veining trailing up the side of a piece? I'm already looking and thinking of, oh, I could do a lot with this. So bear that in mind. I could see doing some of the stamping and then just outlining, some of the stamped paint with a fine paintbrush, and then taking your gold leaf to that, and you just have the lines and the edges in the gold leaf and the solid color. So this is kind of opening up a lot of possibilities in my mind, so hopefully in yours as well. But let me know when I post a pic of the final piece, what you think of it and how it turned out. I'd love to hear. Until then, take care, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I hope to see you soon for the next project.